You ever feel like you're walking through a war zone, but nobody else hears the gunshots? Like everyone's laughing, sipping coffee, scrolling screens, while you're out here trying to keep your insides from falling apart, and somehow, you keep showing up. Not because it's easy, not because you've got it all figured out, but because something deep inside you refuses to quit. The cracks, the beautiful jagged cracks. That's where the truth leaks in, doesn't it? You look around and everything's crumbling. Your plans, your peace, your people. The life you stitched together so carefully, now hanging by a thread, unraveling right in front of your eyes. And still, somehow, you're standing. Not gracefully, not like some shining warrior from a fairy tale, no, more like a survivor crawling out of the wreckage with dust in your lungs and fire in your eyes. And you don't know how you're still standing, but something keeps you from collapsing. You tell yourself it's just adrenaline, just habit, just survival mode, but deep down you know better. You've tasted your own breaking point. You've danced with despair, hand in hand, face to face. You've stared into the mirror and seen a version of yourself so hollow, so tired, so damn lost you barely recognized it. And yet, even on those nights, those long, silent nights when the weight of the world pressed on your chest, something inside refused to die. A flicker, a whisper, a thread of light in a room filled with shadows. Not hope. No, hope is too soft a word. It was something stronger, something sacred. You ever wonder how you didn't fall apart completely? How your mind didn't spiral into oblivion? How your heart kept beating even after it got shattered into pieces so small you couldn't even find them? That's not normal strength. That's not something you conjure up with positive thinking and deep breaths. That's something divine, something invisible yet undeniable. It's that force that steadies your hands when they're trembling, that presence that wraps around your soul when the world turns cold, that quiet voice that says, "I've got you," even when everything else is screaming you've lost. You see, people love to talk about miracles when there's fireworks and grand endings, but they miss the real ones, the silent miracles, the ones that happen in your room at 3:47 a.m., the ones where you're curled up on the floor with swollen eyes and still somehow peace finds you. Not because your problems are solved, but because your spirit's being held by something you can't see. And it doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with flashing lights or dramatic music. It just shows up in the silence, in the ache, in the stillness after the storm has chewed you up and spat you out. People don't talk about that part. They don't talk about how sometimes strength isn't loud. It's not in the punch, it's in the pause. It's not in the victory, it's in the survival. It's in the quiet moments when you whisper to yourself, "I'm not okay," and still you get up the next day and face the fire again. That's the kind of strength no one sees, the kind no one claps for, but it's real, and it doesn't come from you alone. No, there's someone whispering to your bones. You don't have to carry this alone. And sometimes the people around you won't understand. They'll think you're cold, detached, robotic even, but they don't realize. You're not numb, you're being carried. Your spirit isn't gone, it's guarded. It's been held through storms they'll never see, through nights they'll never feel, through pain they wouldn't survive. You've been through the kind of darkness that teaches you to see differently, not with your eyes, but with your soul. And what you see now, it's not just struggle. It's divine presence in disguise. It's protection wrapped in chaos. It's guidance painted in shadows, but it's subtle. That's the trick. It's not dramatic, not cinematic. It's the fact that you still feel warmth in your heart when everything else is cold. It's the way your tears fall softer now, like even your sadness knows it's not alone. It's the way your laughter sometimes sneaks out between the cracks of your pain, surprising even you. No one else notices, but you do. You feel it. You know it. You know deep in your gut that there's no logical reason you should be this calm in this kind of storm. And yet here you are, bruised, battered, but breathing, still here. And you didn't get here on your own. You know that. You ever notice how the things you thought were the worst moments of your life start to make sense later? Like some twisted little puzzle where all the pieces were pain and confusion and disappointment, but somehow it forms a picture. Not a pretty one, not neat or clean, but a picture nonetheless. You try to fight it, of course. You scream at the sky, punch the walls, curse your luck, your fate, everything. You think you're being punished, abandoned, played like some cosmic joke. But later, when the dust settles, when the wounds start to scab, you realize something. Those rejections, those slammed doors, those broken plans, they weren't punishment. They were reroutes. It's funny, isn't it? How we beg for things we're not ready for. How we chase people who were never meant to stay. How we pray for comfort not knowing it would kill our growth. And when those things fall apart, we panic. We mourn. We spiral. But maybe, just maybe, the destruction was divine. Maybe the chaos wasn't chaos at all. It was choreography, just redirected. Quietly, brutally. Ever tried forcing your way through a door that just won't open? You bang, you kick, you cry, but nothing, not even a crack. And then you look back years later and thank whatever force kept you out, because now you see what was behind it. The betrayal you didn't see coming, the failure that would have broken you, the illusion you were too blind to recognize. You thought you were losing something precious, but you were being saved from something poisonous. That's not luck. That's alignment. That's grace disguised as heartbreak. That's protection wearing the mask of pain. You want to know what real transformation looks like? It's not always some glorious epiphany under a sunrise. Sometimes it's you staring at your reflection with a hollow chest and swollen eyes, realizing the door you were chasing was never yours to walk through. Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's solitude. Sometimes it's every plan falling apart just so you can finally stop pretending you know what you're doing. That's where the shift begins, not in clarity, but in confusion, not in light, but in shadow. That's how you're shaped, not gently, but forcefully, not comfortably, but deliberately. People think divine intervention is supposed to feel holy, sweet, magical. But what if it feels like loss? What if it feels like being torn apart at the seams? What if it feels like everything is going wrong when in reality it's the first time things are going right? You won't know it in the moment. You'll resist it, curse it. But later when you trace the path, when you look back at the mess, you'll see the design, the precision, the way every closed door was actually a compass pointing you elsewhere. You think the pain is the curse, but it's the map. You think the delay is punishment, but it's timing. You think the end is the end, but it's the reroute, the detour, the exact twist in the story that takes you where you were meant to be all along. And all this time, you thought you were lost, but maybe you were just being led blindfolded through a maze only one set of eyes could see. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? Letting go of control, watching your plans burn, realizing the people you trusted weren't part of your future. But that discomfort, it's the refining fire. It's what separates what's meant for you from what's draining you, what aligns with your soul from what just flatters your ego. And sometimes the only way to see the difference is to have it all torn away, piece by piece, until you're left with nothing but truth. Raw, jagged, untamed truth. And then something strange happens. After the chaos, after the grief, after the resistance breaks, you start to feel a strange kind of peace. Not because things got easier, but because you finally stopped forcing what wasn't meant to stay. You stopped chasing doors that were never yours. You stopped clinging to versions of yourself that were built on survival, not purpose. And that's when you realize you weren't being broken. You were being shaped strategically. Peace. Now that's a tricky little word, isn't it? Everyone talks about it like it's some soft breeze, a gentle song, some warm cup of tea by a window while birds sing in harmony. But peace, real peace, it doesn't always come wrapped in poetry. Sometimes it shows up right in the middle of your chaos, when everything's burning around you and people are losing their minds and screaming at shadows, and you're just sitting there, breathing, still, calm, like a storm in slow motion, and somehow you're not afraid anymore. Not because the chaos stopped, no, but because something deeper inside you stopped reacting to it. You ever feel that eerie calm in the middle of the madness? That moment where everyone expects you to break down, lash out, fall apart, but you don't. Not because you're numb, not because you've given up, but because something in you has changed. Something has snapped. Not in a bad way, but in a quiet, powerful way. The kind of snap that cuts all the strings that used to control you. You don't panic like you used to. You don't chase explanations or closure or validation like you used to. You don't try to fix everything and everyone anymore. You've made peace with the mess. Not because you love it, but because you've stopped being afraid of it. It's strange, isn't it, how the loudest storms used to shake your soul, and now they just pass through? Not because you're stronger, but because you've found something stronger than the storm. Not in the outside world, not in people, not in plans, but in something unshakable inside you. A stillness that doesn't depend on circumstances. A presence that holds you together even when everything else falls apart. And you can't quite explain it, can't prove it, can't show it to anyone, but it's there, unmistakably there, and it changes you, silently, permanently. People don't get it. They look at you and say, "You've changed," and they're right, but they think you've gone cold, detached, empty. What they don't see is the war you fought to earn that peace. The nights you cried until your throat burned, the days you walked through fire just to feel human again, the moments you screamed into your pillow because the weight of it all was too much, and still, something held you. Something kept you. Something whispered, you don't have to fight everything anymore. And that whisper became your anchor. Now, chaos doesn't rattle you like it used to. You've been through worse. You've survived worse. You've lost things you thought you couldn't live without, and yet, here you are, still breathing, still standing, still laughing, sometimes bitterly, sometimes wildly, but laughing nonetheless. And that peace, it's not something you stumbled upon. It's something that was carved into you through pain, through surrender, through fight. It's not a gift. It's a scar. And that scar doesn't scream anymore. It hums. Softly, steadily, like a reminder that you've already survived the worst, and nothing else can shake you quite the same again. You used to chase peace in places, people, promises, thinking maybe if you just found the right job, the right love, the right version of yourself, then the chaos would stop. But now you know better. Now you know that real peace doesn't come from everything being perfect. It comes from learning nothing ever will be. It comes from learning to be still, even when life isn't. From knowing the difference between what you can control and what you must release. From understanding that pain is not your enemy. It's your teacher, your sculptor, your guide. And maybe that's the joke life plays on us all. We spend years running from the fire only to realize it's the fire that forges us. We curse the storms, not knowing they were washing away everything that was never meant to stay. We fear the breakdown, not realizing it's the beginning of the rebuild. And somewhere along the line, in the middle of the collapse, we find something unexpected. Not rescue, not relief, but peace. The kind that doesn't depend on the world outside, but on the truth blooming quietly inside. The kind that says, let the world spin. I'm not afraid anymore. It's funny, isn't it, how some people walk away from explosions untouched, while others crumble over a paper cut. You've seen it, been through it. The kind of chaos that should have destroyed you. The kind of pain that leaves most people shattered, curled up, screaming into the void. But you walked through fire. Maybe limping, maybe bleeding, but you walked. You were supposed to break. That's what they thought. That's what you thought. But something unseen wrapped itself around you in the thick of it all. And you didn't even notice it then. You were too busy surviving, but now, when you look back, you start to realize you were protected in places you didn't even know you were in danger. It wasn't just luck. No, luck's a fragile little thing. It runs out. This wasn't luck. This was something different. This was timing, shielding, intervention. Divine interference dressed like coincidence. How many times did you feel yourself on the edge, ready to fall, but something pulled you back just enough? Not so obviously, not like a movie hero swinging in at the last second. No, it was more subtle, more psychological. Maybe a gut feeling, maybe a phone call, maybe a moment of hesitation that didn't make sense back then, but saved you from something darker than you even knew existed. And it doesn't always look like protection. Sometimes it looks like rejection, like failure, like heartbreak, like betrayal. But if you could have seen what was coming down that road you were so desperate to run down, you'd thank whatever force slammed that door in your face. You would have sold your soul to a situation that was designed to poison you slowly. You would have smiled your way into a trap, but something, someone saw what you couldn't. So instead of giving you what you wanted, you were handed silence, confusion, pain, disappointment. And that's how protection feels sometimes, like punishment. You were shielded while you thought you were being stripped. You were being redirected while you thought you were being rejected. You were being preserved while you thought you were being punished. It's twisted, isn't it? How the most dangerous places in your life are often disguised as comfort zones. And the safest places, they're the ones that made you bleed first. That's the irony. That's the illusion most people never see through. But you're starting to see it now, aren't you? The way the darkness didn't consume you like it should have. The way the damage didn't define you. The way you came out with scars instead of a coffin. You ever notice how the bullets miss you? Not the literal ones. No, not always, but the metaphorical ones. The situations that should have broken your spirit. The choices that could have ruined your life if you'd taken one wrong turn. You didn't dodge them because you were smart. You didn't escape because you had it all figured out. You were covered, watched, guarded. Not by chance, not by logic, but by something deeper, something older. Something that doesn't care about your resume or your image or your perfect little plans. Something that steps in when everything around you is falling apart and whispers, "Not this one." And the people around you, they don't get it. They look at you like you're lucky, like you're resilient, like you're just good at bouncing back. But they didn't see the nights you wanted to give up. They didn't hear the thoughts that clawed at your brain. They didn't feel the weight you carried while still pretending to smile. And they'll never know how close you came to losing it all. Mind, body, but something pulled you back. Something stitched your spirit together in the silence. Not because you were strong enough, but because you were chosen enough. You don't walk the same after that. You don't laugh the same. You don't even breathe the same. You move different, talk different, see through things others fall for, because you've been to the edge and something holy pulled you back. And now you know what real protection feels like. Not comfort, but conviction. Not ease, but endurance. Not freedom from pain, but power through it. You were guarded in ways most people will never understand. And that kind of protection, it changes you forever.